the night that I cried, I said to myself, I'm gonna allow myself to open up and really enjoy, this love making. And once I said I'm gonna open myself up, I'm not gonna be have any, nothing to hold me back. I'm not gonna worry about if I scream too loud. I'm not gonna worry about this. I'm gonna live in the moment, and I'm gonna enjoy that moment and being with that person. Then the next thing you know, the tears just started coming, and I just jumped up and
Well, was that because, okay, I'm trying to get to something specific. I'm trying to understand it because I've never had this happen before. So, was it the fact that the loving was just so good, or was it the fact that you opened up, or was it
was a combination because it was a combination because I guess the loving has always been that same loving, but because you opened up, you allow yourself to experience the loving in a different situation, it gave you a different feeling.
And so so once you do that, is this like a one-time thing, or do you go back and open yourself up again? Because why don't you experience this?
Well, I'll tell you what happened to me.
I'll
tell you what happened to me. The moment I cried, I went in the bathroom. I jumped up, ran in the bathroom, like, hey, what happened? What's going on? I thought you liked it, I jumped up, ran in the bathroom, and right there at that moment, I knew I was going to give me some good loving, but I didn't know it was going to be quite as good. So I had a decision to make at that moment, because I knew what I experienced was something that just was like, I never felt that way before, and it was just so good, and it was just like the stars just started booming. So I had a decision to make that because I allowed myself to open up to that vulnerability, that am I going to continue to see this person, or am I going to leave this person alone? Now, when you cry, that's the decision you got to make. Because if you stay with that person, then there are some things
that come with it.
That's going to come with that. Because now the guy sees that you've opened yourself up to be vulnerable. Because he know once you cry, he done put down you then, girl. He's put down you. I'll tell you, once you cry, he knows, I am the man, I'm the joint. I can do anything I want to do now. And he knows that. So you have a choice to make. Am I going to stay with him and continue to be open and continue to be vulnerable? Or am I going to leave this here alone? My advice...
But wouldn't you make that decision before you open yourself up?
No, because if you've never felt it, you don't know how it feels, then you won't know that. It's just like you said, how you going to know? You never cried before. Once you cry, it's going to feel so good that you're going to be like, I've never felt anything like this before. This is dangerous. And especially if it's not your husband. Now, if that's your husband, you just, baby, let's cry tonight. I'm crashing more. You okay? Crashing more. Let's cry tonight. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, when you cry, OMG.
Well, I understand what she's saying, as far as that goes. But, also, too, not all the time that you cry, I don't feel myself that when you cry that you open up yourself. It's just that at that point in time, that particular position hit that spot. And it kept going. So that continuation of the good feeling could cause emotion.
And the only way to express it.
But it's not that you open yourself up and saying, oh yeah, you got me now. No. It's just
you know what? That is, yes, they got you now. I do not know what you're talking about. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
As we said before, every individual is different. Every individual is different.
Okay,
I think that if you cry, that represents something emotional.
It's not necessarily emotionally, because
it's not that.
It's not emotionally, because at that point in time, you're just thinking about getting yours. At least, that's what some individuals do. Think about getting theirs. And so if you're thinking about two people getting yours, and then you trying to be dominant and throw it on them, and then of course they're gonna try to push it back and throw it on you. But that particular spot gonna hit, you're gonna probably be like, wow, you know what I'm saying? If you've ever had an orgasm, you know what I'm saying, you would know the feeling like when it's really coming up into like getting there, and that could be like one of the things that can, the effects that could happen. So it's not necessarily saying that no, you're opening up yourself and
Well,
saying,
because I understand that, and I've experienced like, you know, working up to a climax and it feeling really good.
Yeah.
But I've never, I mean, I've experienced a higher sensation, but it's never made me actually physically cry.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, if you wanna have a really, really, really good, cause I've never had an orgasm, you know, with contact. So I can say if you're coming, hold your breath.
Well, that just automatically happens.
It's gonna intensify.
Yeah.
It intensifies.
I mean, it just in that
I don't know if
moment,
it's gonna make you
it's like my
cry,
breath is
but-
taken away, but I've never cried.
I don't know what it is that make you cry. It's not that type
it's
of
like
like.
maybe something just be like, you know how you get
I'm just
chill
dazed.
over your body. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes it's just different.
That happens to me all the time. Maybe that's why I'm not crying. Like,
No, yeah, you may be dazed.
Yeah.
'Cause everyone
'Cause
has
I-
a different sensational feeling.
Right.
You know, I think it's what I kind of think is, I think that during the, you know, intercourse, the feeling that you're getting is so overwhelming and you don't know how to express yourself. I think maybe that might be the reason you cry. I don't know, but all I know is it was just feeling real good. And next thing I know, I never cried, and I started crying, and I jumped up.
was that the first time you had a? When you say you never had an orgasm,
I didn't have an orgasm, and that's what I'm trying to explain. How was that so good, and I didn't even have an orgasm?
Because you still didn't have that spot touched.
I did not have an orgasm, but
But I'm trying to because I hear both some things that you're saying, and you've kind of switched over to the physical aspect, but originally when you were talking,
I think
you were
it's an
speaking
emotional,
about
it's
something
an emotional
that's
feeling. I think what it is, I think what I think it's a combination of the physical feeling that you're getting and the emotional feeling that you have. Because the emotional feeling that you have with someone that you really care about, and then they're showing you that feeling too, and they're making you feel really good, and I think you may produce a little tears.